This is a sample of the information provided as part of the flexible training resources available through HACCP.com. Our training courses are designed to provide training participants with an understanding of food safety and quality system elements and also offer user-friendly assessment activities and competency checklists to complete the training cycle. Contract review. Key definitions for contract review. Contract review. Contract review is the structured system through which supply contracts are assessed and confirmed with relevant parties. Customer focus. Customer focus is a term used to describe the structured systems through which a food business reviews, trends and analyses customer expectations and requirements. This may also include customer contact and communication requirements. Tender, commonly also known as a bid. A formal proposal to sell or buy a commodity or service at a specified price. Contract review development. When considering the development, documentation and implementation of contract review within food safety and quality management systems, the following information should be considered to ensure effective outcomes. About contract review. Contract review process. Understanding customer requirements and expectations. Definition and documentation of customer requirements. Contract review frequency. About contract review. Contract review is a systemic requirement which promotes and nurtures supplier and customer relationships. For legal reasons, and for the transparency of customer expectations, contracts should be developed, documented, implemented and reviewed on an ongoing basis between suppliers and customers. Contract review processes are often closely linked to customer-focus related systemic elements. It is also important to consider that contract review requirements may not just be applicable to customers. They can be reversed and applied with similar methods for suppliers of materials or services. Contract review process. The following process outlines a common logical sequence of steps within a contract review process based upon a scenario in which a new or pre-existing customer relationship includes contract review elements, understanding customer requirements and expectations. It is important within any customer review activity to ensure the requirements and expectations of any prospective or existing customer are fully understood. This element of the contract review process requires clear and open communication channels between the food business and their customer. Customer requirements and expectations commonly include provisions for quality, safety, time frames, cost, delivery, volumes, identity preservation, use of trademarks and claims, verification and validation, emergency provisions, subcontracting of products or services, regulatory compliance, ethical sourcing standards, industry acceptance, definition and documentation of customer requirements. Once your food business clearly and fully understands customer requirements and expectations, a defined and documented contract for current or proposed product or service will generally be formatted. It is important that this format is inclusive of understood customer requirements and expectations, which are presented in alignment with the services or products to be supplied through the contract. It is important to consider that an documented contract format is legally binding, so it is not uncommon for qualified legal representatives to be involved within the process. Contract review. Once the documented contract is available for review, it is generally reviewed by all associated parties. This review is conducted to ensure both the customer requirements and expectations are declared, and that your business is capable of supplying the proposed products or services to the required standards. It is important at this step to ensure that differences between the customer requirements and expectations are resolved with a mutually agreeable acknowledgement from all involved parties. Where issues are identified, the contract format should be reworked and revalidated to ensure appropriate outcomes. Contract agreement. Once the contract review step is completed and all parties are comfortable with the content and implementation of the contract, it is commonly signed by an authorized representative of all involved parties. It is once again important to consider that a documented contract format is legally binding, so it is not uncommon for qualified legal representatives to be involved within the process. It is generally accepted that the full content of contracts are confidential, so they are commonly retained in a secure manner for legal compliance. In this context, it is always important to ensure that relevant team members have access to contract information relevant to their positional roles. The management review process is commonly used as a tool to ensure key team members are aware of relevant contract content. Contract review frequency. The frequency at which a contract review activity is scheduled and conducted is commonly dictated by the time frames nominated within the contract itself. Food businesses commonly have contracts linked to the supply of products which may be seasonal or through a tender arrangement. In most cases, it is recommended that contracts are reviewed at a schedule which allows for new or renewal contracts to be signed prior to any supply of products or services included in such contracts, unless such arrangements are within a defined and agreed trial period. This provides the strongest legal protection for all parties involved with the supply of products or services. If your food business supplies foodstuffs manufactured to a customer's specifications, it is important to consider any specific contract review development requirements in relation to their items. Document. A document provides guidance and/or direction for performing work, making decisions, or rendering judgments which affect the safety or quality of the products or services that customers receive. Documented policies, procedures, work instructions and schedules form the basis of any food safety and quality management system. The following documentation formats may be considered to ensure ongoing compliance with specified requirements for contract review. Contract review policy. Contract review development procedures. Contract review implementation procedures and work instructions. Contract review monitoring procedures. Contract review corrective and preventative action procedures. Contract review verification schedule. Contract review verification procedures. Contract review validation schedule. Contract review validation procedures. Contract review training procedures. If your food business supplies foodstuffs manufactured to a customer's specifications, it is important to consider any specific contract review documentation requirements in relation to their items. You may wish to visit the Contract Review Templates section of HACCP.com for examples of contract review documentation, record and resource formats commonly applied within food safety and quality systems. Implementation. Implementation is the application of documented food safety and quality system elements into the actual business operation. The implementation of contract review within any food business requires genuine commitment from senior management, staff and visitors to ensure the nominated goals of implementation are achievable on an ongoing basis. It is a step which requires significant planning and consideration of general and specific food business circumstances to ensure the outcomes of contract review do not negatively impact upon the safety and quality of the food items dispatched from the business. Implementation of contract review must include the clear definition of responsibilities and authorities for all levels of participation by senior management, staff and visitors to the site. When implementing contract review within a food safety and quality system, you may wish to consider the following requirements prior to completion: communication and display of the contract review policy, completion of verification and validation of contract review development procedures, availability of contract review implementation procedures and work instructions, availability of contract review monitoring procedures and record templates where applicable, availability of contract review corrective and preventative action procedures and record templates where applicable, availability of the contract review verification schedule, availability of contract review verification procedures, availability of the contract review validation schedule, availability of contract review validation procedures, completion of contract review training procedures, completion of product design and development requirements related to contract review, completion of process design and development requirements related to contract review, completion of training for team members who have responsibilities and involvement within contract review, Completion of competency approval for team members who have responsibilities and involvement within contract review. If your food business supplies foodstuffs manufactured to a customer's specifications, it is important to consider any specific contract review implementation requirements in relation to their items. Need help with contract review? Find an experienced food safety and quality consultant at HACCP.com. Monitoring. Monitoring is the act of reviewing and confirming measurable parameters of a defined process or product status. Monitoring requirements within food industry sectors are generally identified against limits of acceptability defined within HACCP plans, implementation procedures and work instructions. Monitoring usually includes some element of record keeping, which may be maintained manually or through digital systems. It is important to consider that advancements of technology have spawned many systems and processes which are self-monitored and/or self-adjusted when variances are identified, regardless of the system used. The goal of any monitoring activity is to provide sufficient evidence that any limit of acceptability has been met. Traditional contract review monitoring requirements include manual recording and the application of corrective actions when the results of monitoring are found to be outside acceptable limits. Corrective actions should also generally be strongly linked to the monitoring process where applied to ensure full traceability of the applied actions. Did you know that HACCP.com includes resources that allow you to create, manage and implement GFSI and HACCP-based food safety and quality programs? Improve your food safety and quality skills and knowledge? Train and develop your team to create better food safety and quality outcomes? Find suppliers and service providers to partner with your business? The information and training resources available through HACCP.com include a variety of formats, such as website content, MP4, MP4 and text, MP3, PDF and slideshow. Are you ready to take the next step in your food compliance journey? Visit HACCP.com today to create your profile and access the full versions of our food safety and quality information packages and much more.